Why the one divides perception, limitation, and the joy of the mirror. Everything stated so far describes the mechanism of forgetting and remembrance, how the undivided observer partitions itself, how the partition is a coordinate on a geometric substrate, how the return is the gathering of the scattered faces. But mechanism is not motive. A complete account of the self must answer the question that stands behind all the others, the question the contemplative traditions have circled for millennia without resolving: why? Why does the one divide at all? Why should undivided awareness, lacking nothing, fracture itself into the many, accept the labor of forgetting, and undertake the long road home? This section gives the model's answer. It is the keystone on which everything else rests, and it reframes the entire architecture. The division is not a fall to be reversed, but a gift being given. 3.1. The self-referential perception problem. Figure 5, why the one divides. That which perceives cannot perceive itself, as an eye cannot see itself. To behold what it is, undivided awareness must furnish mirrors from its own substance. The division is not a fall, but the condition of self-perception. Begin with a structural fact about perception itself, stated through a series of perfect analogies. An eye cannot see itself. The very organ of sight is the one thing it cannot bring into its own visual field. The seer is structurally excluded from the seen. And this is not peculiar to the eye. A light cannot illuminate itself. It is the source of illumination, never its object. A fire cannot burn itself. It is that which burns, not that which is consumed. A finger cannot touch itself. It can touch all else, but the touching cannot be its own object. In every case, the faculty is barred by its very nature from being its own object. The bar is not a defect or a limitation imposed from outside. It is a logical feature of what perception, illumination, combustion, and contact are. That which perceives cannot, while perceiving, be the perceived. From this follows the founding necessity of the entire model. Consciousness cannot perceive itself without dividing itself into mirrors. Undivided awareness, precisely because it is the one that perceives, cannot be its own object any more than the eye can see itself. If the one is to behold itself at all, if self-knowledge is to be possible, it must do what the eye does when it would see itself. It must seek a mirror. And since there is nothing outside the one to serve as that mirror, the one must furnish the mirror from itself. It divides. The division of the one into the many is the production of mirrors, unique eyes of perception, through which, and only through which, the one can at last behold what it is. We, as participants in this design, are those mirrors. Each of us is a surface in which the one catches sight of itself from an angle it could never have occupied from within. 3.2 Uniqueness as the value of the mirror. A mirror that returned the same view as every other mirror would add nothing. The value of a mirror is precisely the view that only it can return. And so the mirrors are not copies, but unique perspectives, each placed at an angle no other occupies, each rendering the whole from a vantage available nowhere else. This is the structural ground of the model's claim, stated earlier as a phenomenological one, that uniqueness is the most valuable aspect of authenticity. To be authentically oneself is not a matter of self-expression for its own sake. It is to occupy fully the one vantage the one cannot occupy without you, to return the specific view that your particular eye and no other was made to render. Your uniqueness is not incidental to the design, it is the entire reason your perspective exists. The one needed exactly that angle, and there is no redundancy in the system. Every authentic perspective is information the whole could not otherwise possess. This also completes the account of empathy. As each mirror returns its unique view, the one gains, not merely recovering what it always was, but accumulating wisdom and empathy it could not have held undivided. To perceive through countless unique eyes is to know from the inside what every circumstance and every perception is like, and that knowing is empathy. Empathy is not a sentiment added to perception, but the natural yield of perceiving through many. And because the number of possible unique perspectives is unbounded, the accumulation never completes. The one's wisdom and empathy expand without ceiling through all generations of time and throughout all eternity. Learning that never stops because there is always another angle, another mirror, another view yet to be returned. The remembrance is therefore not a closing of the circle back to a static prior unity. It is an open-ended deepening, the one enriched, having learned through the eyes of the many what it could never have learned alone. 3. The descent into limitation, the one thing the unbounded cannot taste. There remains the deepest part of the answer, and it concerns what, specifically, the one gains that it could not have otherwise. The unbounded source knows all, possesses all, lacks nothing, and precisely because it lacks nothing, there is one entire order of experience forever closed to it, the experience of limitation. The source cannot, on its own, know what it is to be bounded, to not know, to lack, to long. These are not deficiencies the one suffers, they are experiences the one cannot reach, because every one of them is a function of finitude, and the one is not finite. Consider what limitation alone makes possible. What is it like to ask a question without already knowing the answer? The omniscient cannot know this. To ask in genuine ignorance, you must genuinely not possess. The answer and the one possesses all answers. What is it like to receive a lover's gaze without the certainty that it will always be there? The unbounded, holding all of time at once, cannot know the particular sweetness of a moment whose continuance is not guaranteed, the tenderness that exists only because it might not last. What is it like to love and to be loved across distance in time without assurance? Love as a finite being loves, freely given precisely because it need not be given, received as gift precisely because it was not owed, is available only to one who is bounded, who could lose and therefore can truly receive. Anticipation requires not yet having. Discovery requires not yet knowing. Courage requires real risk. Gratitude requires the possibility of lack. Every one of these, the entire register of meaning that finite beings live within, is inaccessible to the unbounded as unbounded, and accessible only through descent into limitation. Figure 6. The descent into limitation. The unbounded knows all and lacks nothing, and therefore cannot on its own taste the one order of experience that belongs to finitude alone, the question asked without already knowing the answer, the lover's gaze received without certainty it will remain, love given and received across distance and in time without guarantee. To know these, the one must descend into the finite mirror. Limitation is the one experience the unbounded cannot have on its own. This is the deepest reason the one divides, and it transfigures the entire model. The forgetting, the Wu forgets axiom, the self-contraction of awareness into a bounded identity, is not merely the enabling condition of experience in general. It is the enabling condition of the one experience otherwise impossible, the experience of limitation, and through limitation, of love freely given and freely received without certainty. The descent into the finite is not a fall from grace. It is the only doorway to the one thing grace alone cannot contain. The mirror forgets it is a mirror so that it may genuinely not know, genuinely long, genuinely risk, and so return to the one treasure the one could never have minted in its own unbounded mint, the lived knowledge of what it is to be small and to love anyway. 3-4. The reframing, not a fall, but a gift. We may now state the motive plainly, and see how far it stands from the traditions the model otherwise resembles. The division of the one into the many is not a fall, as Gnosticism would have it, not an illusion to be seen through, as the harder readings of Advaita and Dzogchen would have it, and not a catastrophe to be repaired, as the bare reading of the Kabbalistic shattering would have it. It is a gift the one gives itself, the joyful and deliberate furnishing of mirrors so that the unperceivable may be perceived, the unlimited may taste limitation, and love may be learned from the inside by beings who could lose it. The shadow, the forgetting, the not knowing, the finitude that the rest of the model labors to integrate. These are not obstacles incidental to the journey. They are the very content the journey was undertaken to gather. Limitation is the treasure, not the problem, and remembrance, when it comes, does not erase the limitation or render the descent a mistake. It carries the gathered treasure home, the wisdom, the empathy, the love learned under conditions of genuine risk, and adds it to the one, who is thereby not restored but enlarged. This is why the model can hold both the non-dual ground and the full dignity of the finite person at once, where its predecessors tend to sacrifice one for the other. The person is not an error to be dissolved back into the absolute. The person is the precious instrument through which the absolute learns what it could learn no other way. To awaken is not to discover that one's life was illusion. It is to discover that one's life was the one's own beloved experiment in limitation, and to live it from that point forward as both the mirror and the one who looks. 3.5.